All right, since we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and discuss a couple of ways we can actually arrive at velocity. And I'm really thinking about instantaneous velocity as opposed to this average that we have up here. So it's either going to be like something like the t final or the t initial for out of equation number 2. So I'm going to take equation number 3, equations 1 and 2, and we're going to find some velocities. One velocity that we've already found is the final velocity in the tangential direction. So this is going to be final velocity is equal to the initial velocity plus a, which is the acceleration in that same direction, times t. So this is one of our equations, and that equation is right here, 4b. It's coming from 4a. So when I speak about tangential, I'm speaking at a point on a circle, or, and it needs to be infinitesimal, or along the x direction, y direction, or z direction, or I should say and z direction. So that's one form of velocity. The other form is when I equated both 1 and 2. So when I equate both 1 and 2, I am going to get SF minus S initial over T equals to the initial velocity plus the final velocity over 2. So now in this particular case, I can find the final velocity again by doing a little bit of rearranging. And so what that pretty much means is I can multiply both sides by 2. Okay? And I can also add a negative initial velocity to get the final velocity by itself. All right? So I'm just going to end up with V final here. I'll end up with 2 times S final minus S initial divided by time, and forgive me for this, but this is going to be minus our initial velocity equals to our final velocity. Okay, so the way I need to write this, I'm just going to rewrite it and say V final equals to 2 times S final minus S initial divided by T minus the initial velocity. So if you look at this, there are 3 things that we need to know and that we need to know in order to calculate the final velocity, and that is the arc displacement as well as the initial velocity. That's the beginning of when you're going to consider your measurements, and the time, and that is the amount of time that it takes from the beginning that you choose to the end of what you choose. Okay, so I most likely will use those 2 equations